Welcome to Inquiry. This video will be all about criteria, what they are, how to select or create them, and how to think about them when you're rating. Before we get going, let's discuss what criteria are. You use criteria every day, whether you realize it or not. When you're driving, you're subconsciously thinking about the criteria of safety when doing anything from changing lanes to determining if your speed is appropriate for the conditions. When you're deciding what to wear in the morning, you're no doubt thinking ahead to your plans for the day and what attire would be appropriate. Criteria are how we naturally break down every decision. On this page, you'll be selecting and rating the criteria that you believe are important to helping you make the decision being posed in the inquiry. So in the case of what is the best laptop for a web developer, personally, I would want a laptop that is light enough to make it comfortable to carry around. I would want something that performs very well. I like a comfortable keyboard since I'll be doing a lot of typing, and I really get tired of waiting for computers to start up, so I want a quick startup speed. To add these criteria, I can use a search to see if any of my criteria have already been added to inquiry. If so, I can add them straight from the search results. I'm going to search for performance and weight. I see that somebody has already added duration of startup, so I can rate that later, and nothing comes up for my search of keyboard comfort, so I can add that here. When creating a criteria, I just need to give it a name, a short description, a scale, and choose what I'm evaluating the criteria for. Notice these arrows next to minimize and maximize. This arrow is shown with the criteria when it is displayed to other participants for a quick visual cue to help them understand the criteria. Clicking through these buttons gives a visual representation of the evaluation. I believe more keyboard comfort is favorable, so I'll choose this setup. If I'm unclear on any of the criteria on the page, I can click the title to get more detail on that criteria. Notice here on duration of startup that less duration is favorable, so the arrow points to the left. Here on performance, the arrow is pointing to the right, saying that more performance is favorable. Now that I've added all the criteria I thought of for evaluating laptops, I'll rate these criteria. Notice that there are two lists of criteria. These are the criteria I selected, and these are the collective criteria that other participants felt were important to this inquiry. So I have the ability to rate things I hadn't thought of. Before I rate these criteria, I want to draw your attention to a couple more features on the page. This bar shows how many criteria you've rated out of the total criteria selected on this inquiry. These buttons allow you to filter the unrated criteria, and down here you're able to page through the criteria list to see everything that's been added to the inquiry. Finally, this button allows you to submit your ratings without moving to the next step in the process, and if you click this arrow, your ratings are submitted and you're taken to the next step. When rating criteria, I will be rating how important I think the criteria are to the decision being made. So in this inquiry, I believe that my criteria of weight, performance, and keyboard comfort are all important. And from the collective set, I think durability and duration of startup are important. I'll submit those, and I notice there are a couple more I want to rate. I don't think that sticker capacity or brand recognition are very relevant to this inquiry. You can rate as much or as little as you feel necessary here. There is no level of participation that is required on the inquiry. Now that you're an expert in criteria, check out the other videos on the How It Works page to get to know the rest of the inquiry platform.